Wait, what? Oh, where am I and why do I?
What the fuck are you doing?
Fundamental paper education. Produced by Katie. There's a good chance you've already heard about it or seen it somewhere, but for those who didn't, I'll give you a brief explanation of what this even is before I go into detail. Paper education is a about 4-minute long video made by the animator Katie, which she has already done 5 other animated shorts on her channel, which got around 1 million views at max. I also can remember that she done an animation to Red Flag, however I can't find it anywhere, maybe she took it down. The reason for that I will mention later in the video. But her latest creation got 24 million views in just 2 months. For note, this is more than most of the Murderance episodes, and as you can see, the number is still growing because the screenshot is only a week old or something, and she already gotten 1 million views more. But why got this so popular so quick? I think I have the explanation for that, but at first we take a look into the video.
No, we can't do that.
Why?
Because of the copyright to the song.
Well, that's just an F in the book.
What do you say?
Here.
Oreo. Yay.
Well, there's a song from the Living Tombstones in the background, so instead of showing you what happens, I just quickly retell it. And most of the information I either got from the wiki page or this YouTube video, so there will be credit down below. But the animation starts off with us being introduced to the main character, Claire. She was also the protagonist in the former mentioned Red Flag video, but I think in the end of this animation she died. This is the reason why the original animation was taken down, I think. But this doesn't make really much sense because of a reason I will explain to you later. Next up, we are introduced to a bunch of students and 2 of the teachers, Miss Staffel and Mrs. Bloomy. I also know the name of every single student because if they are just background characters in the moment, I don't see a reason for them to be mentioned, at least just yet. But for example, I know that this student is named Ruby and she's kinda a peacekeeper and wants that all students get along. And also she reminds me of a certain other series I'm watching, but I can't quite put my finger on it. And we see that Claire struggles in school and also that she is being bullied by those 3 other kids, Sid and Oliver and Edward. After that we continue with assumedly normal school life, like swimming in the swimming pool and the library. In the library, Claire is continually being bullied and the bullies throw her down a staircase, and while falling, or which I'm assuming being unconscious, she has a weird vision or dream, which I'm not going to talk about just yet. First I finish the recap. We see Claire waking up from being unconscious and trying to get back to her class with an annoyed expression on her face. But on the way there, she's stopped by Mrs. Bloomy, which is holding a failed test in her hand, and Claire starts to freak out because 3 of the teachers on this school, maybe more, but I don't know, do not punish you normal if you fail a test, but straight up kill you. And because she obviously doesn't want that, she starts to run away, but she also failed her test by exactly those 2 other teachers, which is odd to say the least. But after some time chasing her, Miss Bloomy is able to injure her on the leg and she trips and falls. And seconds before she's about to get killed, she's saved by another student called Angel, which the name means angel in German. I would know that. And he kinda acts like a guardian angel in this moment because she's able to escape while Angel is being tossed to the side. Claire finds a supposed exit door and tries to escape out of it, which at the sight of this, all of the teachers are in pure horror, not because she's escaping, but because they are genuinely frightened by her opening the door. And all of a sudden, we find us with a change of animation and Claire finds herself with an even worse threat than the teachers. May I introduce you guys to Alice? What her whole thing is, I will explain later. Right now, Claire tries to not get impaled by spikes, but Alice makes quick work of her and chases her back to the school area. And with Alice, also the change of animation transfers to the entire school except for the teachers, so maybe only students are affected by the color change. But we can also see the supposedly peaceful teachers are also quite shocked by the realization that Alice has left her room. And after a short time, Alice catches up to Claire and this black box isn't there for no reason. so you can fill in the blanks on your own. And the animation finishes off with us seeing all the shocked reactions of the students and some of the teachers. And just a side fact, because I can't fit it anywhere else in the video, this guy is the only male teacher. Yeah, that was all I wanted to say. And at last we get this iconic scene of Mrs. Circle talking to Sip and Oliver, who tricked Claire into opening the door to Alice. So, 5 minutes into the video and I finally can start talking about the stuff I actually wanted to talk about. And what do you think about this, Mrs. Circle?
Skill issue.
As expected, but really before I talk about anything else, I want to talk about one specific character that I used now multiple times for sketches, but otherwise always censored or didn't talk about or cut out the parts where she's in. And she is one of the 2 reasons why I'm actually doing this video right here. The other one would be literally this one line from the YouTuber I mentioned at the beginning, where he said this is actually a show and not just a one-off animation.
Paper education series, so protagonist of the series, who is...
I won't show more because I don't want to steal his content. Again, his video is linked down in the description, but basically because he is calling this a series, this is a reason for me that I can continue covering this in the future. And I went off topic again. Anyways, Mrs. Circle. I can't put it into the right words how much I adore this character, but she's probably one of my top 3 characters of all time. Like, her whole deal is that she analyzed the students in the most graphic way that I ever seen on YouTube. Like, I have no idea how this animation is still up on this platform, but I love that it is. But I actually can't say much about her killing the students, because fun fact, my parents actually watch my videos, but I'm just going to quote Boombob 3D because I very much agree with his opinion. Pause if you want to read it.
Yay! Boombob 3D is the best.
I don't know if you should be happy or concerned that you like Boombob 3D, Mrs. Circle. But also her voice is incredibly hilarious for her character. Like, I have no idea how Katie has done it, but the way I recreated this is if you putting in the Google Translator to Japanese and typing an English sentence in it, and you can make Mrs. Circle say anything you want. Which, don't abuse this power, because another fun fact about the show is that all of the characters are OC characters of Katie, and the fact that she was able to create an entire fandom for this animation of her own characters is the dream of every single animator / artist. I mean, even the top comment on this entire animation is about this topic, and I think this is what makes it so interesting for people, because I love original characters always. You can find so many interesting concepts of things that people create. You can see what inspired them and what personality traits they like to use. For example, I have noticed by Katie in Paper Education, you can see by many characters that they have devil horns or just hair that resembles devil horns. And I do want to talk a bit more about this, but I get to this when I get to the part with the lore speculation. But now I want to compare Mrs. Circle to some other characters to explain a point. Some of you might know the song that Katie uses is called Basic Behavior, and it was a fan song for another game called Baldi's Basics. Most of you should still know this game at some point. It was really popular and kinda went off into the corner of the internet where nobody knows it anymore. But the main antagonist of this game is also a teacher that wants to punish you for you failing in the class. And the same teacher turns the entire schoolhouse red if he gets mad at you, exactly as we see in the animation with the chase sequences of Miss Circle. The only 2 differences are Baldi still cares about his students and only punishes them, even though he's a bit rough about it. But however, Mrs. Circle doesn't care at all and is happy if a student fails, because this means she gets to eat him, which I don't know if she's the only teacher that does it, but the way it's animated shows us how barbaric Mrs. Circle actually is. And although the concept of a teacher that wants to harm you if you fail in their class is everything but a new concept, still feels fresh and exciting. But because it's such an often used concept, the addition of Alice and the secret behind her makes everything engaging so that you want to know more. But I talk about Alice a bit more in the lore section again. But the second person I want to compare to Mrs. Circle is my own channel mascot, because this video is still about why I like Paper Education so much. And I got to be honest, when I designed my character for the first time, I tried mashing everything together from things that I like, and after some attempts I created the one I'm using currently, and I like her really much. Like, I'm surprised that I actually did something that I'm so impressed impressed by. But back to topic, what I kinda noticed over time is that Mrs. Circle and my character look extremely similar to one another. And before I start comparing, I think Mrs. Circle is just entertaining to look at. Like, I love looking at fan animations, fan art or something. Most of the time the personality changed to something more funny, but just in general I love looking at the character because it's just fun, and again because it's so similar to my character I created, and that character is a mix-up of all the things I like in character design. Maybe that's the reason why I personally like Mrs. Circle so much. But now to the comparison. If we compare them now side to side, I can point out the things I like. For example, both of them have claws, and also both of them have black wrists. By Mrs. Circle it's part of the claw, for me it's only the wrist. But also both of them wear suits with buttons on them, with rolled up sleeves and a quite large chest. And of course, if you look at the hair, it is almost as big, if not even bigger than the entire person. And speaking about size, both of them are really tall. Like R4 is something 7'4" feet, I think. And Miss Circle is goddamn 9'7" feet tall. Like, I like big women, but literally she is maybe just a teeny tiny bit too tall for my liking. But to be fair, Miss Circle can canonically change size to become maybe even bigger. I'm concerned about this. I mean, I can imagine a cool visual where a giant Miss Circle chases you through the hallway, but also she becomes smaller, and this is how we get the cute cat version of Mrs. Circle, which, although Katie said that it's just the devil horns of Miss Circle, I'm refusing to not call this cat version because, I mean, look at it.
Yay!
And I also have made a small and cute version of my character, and I could make this comparison even longer, for example with the murderous intent of both of them, but I think you get my point. And because I usually focus on the lore in the shows, if this actually is going to be a show, I propose 1-2 little theories, and if this video performs well and I get something like, I don't know, over 100 views, I think I'm considering making a video which is only about a theory I have, but we have to wait and see. But if you're excited about more paper education content from me, then press the subscribe button. So, call to action, check. Now to the theories. So I proposed 2 theories. The first one is about Alice. I find her character design quite interesting, with the diadem on her head and also the bandages around her body, and the fact that she can transform into an entirely black version of herself are some interesting clues, combined with the part of the animation where Claire is hallucinating after falling down the stairs, and we see a bunch of images of Alice and how Mrs. Circle talks about the don't open her room. But we see one quick flash where Alice is walking along the hallway and there are a bunch of students behind her and she doesn't actively try to kill them. All of that combined leads me to the conclusion that Alice used to be a normal student, however something happened. I think the schoolhouse has some form of magical property that connects together with all the teachers having devil horns and those black arms with giant claws at the end instead of normal hands like the other students have. And I think Alice in her student form discovered something, and that's how she turned into one of the teachers, or better to say, got the same curse as the teachers. And because she wasn't, and I think because she used to be a student, she got transformed, which would explain the bandages that would come from bruises from her transformation of her hands. And also something I find interesting, that she's having a diadem on her head. Like, I proposed the theory that she was once prom queen, but on her big day the bullies pulled a mean prank on her, which left her upset and crying, and she probably ran out of the prom hall, and while trying to get away she maybe accidentally stumbled into an area of the school she shouldn't go in, and it's there where she got her powers. And this theory is also supported by the fact that we see next to Oliver always images of Alice, that Oliver loves Alice or that he is her girlfriend, and in those pictures Alice still looks like a normal student. But again, this theory sounds a bit strange right now. If I would make a dedicated video to it, I would explain it in a lot more detail and stuff like that. And my second theory is that I suppose the bully students are actually the children of the killing teachers. Because if we compare the designs of the teacher and the students, I propose Oliver is the child of Miss Circle, because both have long hair and have an arm replaced with a school equipment. And just general, if you look at the clothes of Oliver, the boots, the pants, the jacket, the rolled up sleeves, everything seems to closely resemble Miss Circle. And next I propose Sip to be the child of Miss Bloomy, because he has the same hands as her, and also he has a math equation on top of his head, and Miss Bloomy is the math teacher, so. And through the process of elimination, I would say he is the son of this teacher. And because I don't want to stretch this video even further, I propose that Gangle also could be a teacher's kid, because he has the same hands as the teachers, and he was able to block off Mrs. Circle's punch, which she can crack solid stone walls with her punches, so I would assume Miss Circle is very strong, and Engel shouldn't have this much strength to block her punch if he would be a normal student. But I think because those are the teacher's children, they get a special treatment from them. For example, Engel doesn't get immediately killed after stopping Miss Circle, just tossed to the side, because this other character, which I can't remember the name right now, but the one with the cool sock puppets, gets killed just for witnessing what Mrs. Circle done, but Gangle, for interfering with her actions, just get tossed to the side. And the bullies are also getting special treatment with better grades than they originally should have. I mean, Oliver is probably the student with the best grades in the class, and he doesn't really seem like the person that studies a lot or works for this achievement, and I assume this speculation based on the A on top of his hair. What are you looking at? But overall, this concludes this video. I really don't want to work on an outro right now, because this video took way too long and way too much effort for my weekly schedule. But I think my final words are that I really love paper education, and I hope this gets turned into a show, and if that is the case, I will continue covering this on the channel, and if not, then you probably will see this character I'm using never again. Well, actually, now that I think about it, because I have an F on my head, shouldn't I be a prime target for Mrs. Circle?
FBI open up